I'm life and business coach Samantha Sifring, and this is the Online Business Building Mamas podcast, where you learn how to build a wildly successful business from home while raising kids. Hello, mamas. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. And I hope you're having an amazing week of Thanksgiving if you are in the U.S. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving if you are listening to this on the day that it comes out, and it's kind of a different year. But I hope that you are still really finding things to be grateful for. I recently asked the women in Mama to CEO to go through and share with me a comparison of where they are now versus where they were this time last year in their business, and really celebrate and appreciate the growth that they have had and created for themselves over the past year. And it was so fun to read. I had chills. I was tearing up. It was such a magical post with so many good stories. So I'm going to be sharing some of those at the end of today's episode. And today I'm going to be sharing about what is possible in a year. Because I think a lot of times we kind of forget what we're capable of and what's possible for us to create in a year's time. So I'm going to share a bit about my story. And first, I just want to invite you all to join me next week. I am doing the incredible annual planning event that I do every year at the beginning of December. And it's going to be the best one and biggest one yet. I cannot wait to have you all at Design 2021. So here's what's going down. Basically, you are going to come hang out with me for 5 days in a pop-up Facebook group. And as you know, I do Facebook groups really freaking well. I closed down my free Facebook group recently, and this pop-up is kind of a once in a year opportunity now. So I encourage you, if you love this podcast, you should be there. There's just no reason that you shouldn't be there if you're a fan of the podcast. So sign up, and then we are going to go through a process to plan next year, 2021, like you have never seen before. You have never planned a year in your business like this. I'm going to take you through what 2020 has to teach you and make sure that you're getting your money's worth, your time's worth out of 2020's lessons. I am going to help you pick the right goal for next year, and then I'm going to help you create your plan. And there's a couple different aspects to your plan. Obviously, there's the actions you take. We also are going to do some troubleshooting in advance for things that might get in the way of you creating the goal that you have in mind. And I'm also going to teach you how to create a plan for your mindset. So not just the actions that you're going to take, but also the thoughts that you're going to be thinking to fuel those actions. I have always said that my design series every single year is like $1,000 worth of value for $0 because it's a free 5-day event. And this year, I think it's worth even more than $1,000. This is the most valuable free event that I think I have ever seen anybody put on. So if you're listening, sign up. You just need to go to 2021.samanthasifring.com, and we'll have this in the show notes, but it's 2021 like the numbers, 2021.samanthasifring.com. Get in. You do not want to miss this. It is going to be 5 deep dive days full of incredible value that is going to set you up for 2021 being your most successful biggest, best year of business ever. Whatever you want to accomplish next year, I will help you plan it. So come to this event. All right, let's talk about what's possible in a year. So first, I want to start by going back all the way to November 2017. So at the very end of 2017. 2017 is the year that I started my coaching business. I had been a coach for a couple years before. I worked for another life coach, and she really taught me how to become a coach, and then she gave me clients. And I worked in her business. She did all the marketing, and then she assigned the clients that she signed to the different coaches who worked under her. So I worked for her for a couple of years. 2017, at the beginning of the year, is when I started my own business as a coach. And those of you who have heard my story before know that it took me until October of that year to sign my first client. And I signed that client for $40 for one 30-minute session, and she did not buy another one. And this was really difficult. So I already knew I was a really good coach. I had a lot of clients in that other business who got results, who were very happy. I knew that I was a capable coach. And I also knew that I knew a lot about marketing and business. I had studied marketing. I had worked for several entrepreneurs in their businesses, and I always had incredible ideas for marketing, for strategy, for business growth. I had a proven track record in growing other people's businesses and as a coach. So it was really difficult for me to understand why I couldn't make my own business work. And what I didn't know at the time that I think is really important for all of you to know is that the way that you grow an established business is not the way that you grow a brand new business. It's different. Building up that initial momentum in business actually takes really different strategies and techniques and work than growing the momentum of a business that already has momentum. This is something that no one had really talked to me about. No one had really told me. And it is the number one reason that I was struggling in my business at that time. So for any of you who are still trying to get that initial momentum built up, you need to know that the way you do that is different than how, for instance, I currently am growing my business, or how somebody else who has an established business is doing it. You don't want to be looking at somebody who has $1 million business and just copying every single thing that they're doing, because it may not make sense for you and it might not work for you at this stage that you're in. So I had just signed my first client for $40, and I had this glimmer of hope, I might be able to do this. But really think about it, you guys. 10 months to $40. I still am just so proud of myself for not giving up on my business. Although towards the end of 2017, I really knew that I needed to do something different. And I decided that it was finally time to invest in coaching. So I hadn't had a coach at all throughout that entire year. I felt like I knew what I was doing. I was smart about business, all of this. And it wasn't until the end of this first year that I decided to invest in a coach. So then I started off 2018 from day one. Starting in January, I started working with a coach. And I actually joined a large program. It was $300 a month or something like that, like a membership type thing. And that was my first coaching experience towards my business. I had had a life coach before, but this was the first investment in coaching for my business. And it really set the tone for the year. I remember I went into that year thinking, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to figure it out. I'm determined to figure this out. So I signed up for that membership and I really started taking very different action. Instead of the year before when I had been trying things that I saw million-dollar businesses do, like Facebook ads and freebies and courses and all of that, in this year, in 2018, I really decided to do things a little differently. So I went out there and I started meeting people. And I did this online in Facebook groups, but I joined a ton of Facebook groups. I started meeting so many people. I grew my network so much. I started my own Facebook group. I started building relationships with people in there. I did free coaching. That group was like a free group coaching program when I first created it. And I was out there just talking to people, telling them about my group, telling them about how I could help them. I got on calls with so many people and met a lot of people by doing that. And I was selling one-on-one coaching. And then I started signing a couple clients a month. And before too long, I was up to $2,000 a month in business revenue and feeling on top of the world. Towards the end of 2018, I decided to make another investment in my business that was going to help me get even better at the sales calls that I was doing. And after joining that, I went from $2,000 months to $5,000 months, which was super exciting. And so that's where I ended up in 2018. I think I had my first $6,000 month at the end of that year. And it's so fun to think about how that first year was so discouraging and I made $40 at the very end of the year. And the following year, I made money every single month. And at the very end, I had a $6,000 month. What incredible growth, right? $40 in a whole year to a $6,000 month at the end. And my total for 2018 was $42,000 as a coach, which felt incredible because that was actually more than I had ever made in a salaried job before. So even that, I was like on top of the world. I had the goal of 50,000, which felt completely impossible, and I was so close to it. And I actually previously had only ever believed that I could make 50K. I remembered hearing people talk about making 100K, and I was like, I don't even care about 100K. Like, that's cool for you, but if I could just make 50K doing the thing that I love, I would be happy. So 2018 was the year that pretty much that was achieved. So then at the end of that year, when I was looking ahead at 2019, I set an impossible goal. I was working with a coach who was really big on the idea of impossible goals, and she had us do that going into 2019. So my impossible goal for 2019, it was $200,000, which felt pretty big. So I kicked off that year making like $7,000 to $8,000 months. I got to 10K months pretty quickly, and I was consistently there for most of the year. 2019 was a really solid year. I really felt like I was finding my stride in coaching, although I had a lot of drama throughout the year. I had clients quit. I changed my prices all over the place. I really lost confidence in the spring of 2019, and I decided to make my biggest investment to date at that point and join a mastermind. And what's so interesting, you guys, is I still did not have a one-on-one coach throughout all of this time. And it's really interesting for me to think back and wonder, like, why didn't I? Why did I not get one-on-one coaching? I think that I probably would have gotten my act together a lot quicker if I would have made that investment. But what I also love is that I didn't need it. I figured it out, and I think I was able to use those investments that I made and really coach myself and really utilize those investments that I made. So for all of you who are in Mama to CEO, I want to encourage you, you don't need one-on-one coaching. You can truly use that program and treat it as if it is your own one-on-one coaching and really utilize it and squeeze every last drop out of it and hit your goals within it like I did with all of my investments at the beginning of my business. I created Mama to CEO for women like me. Women who are like, I am not starting off my business with a big like 10K investment or whatever. I have $2,000 to put towards this, and this is the bet that I want to take on myself at this point. I created this program for you because I know you exist. I was one of you, and this is the program that I wish I had back in those early phases of my business. Okay, so I made this investment. I joined this mastermind, and it was pretty insane how quickly things changed for me once I joined. And it was really this idea that my coach introduced to my mind that I could make $25,000 in cash in a month. I had this idea that I had to grow gradually and slowly in my business. So if you think about the trajectory prior, the 2 years prior, I really did have this gradual growth. I made like $1,000 and then $2,000 and then $3,000 and then $5,000 and $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. And I had really just kind of inched my way up. So the idea of going from, I think 12K had been my biggest month ever, to 25K really broke my brain open, I think, to the possibilities for me. So I rose to the challenge. I accepted her challenge. It took a lot of mindset work. Like, I think this is the time my brain grew the most. And whenever I think about coaching all of you and working with my clients, I really go back to the kind of mental shift that I had to make to go from that like 12K to 25K, because it was everything. Like that growth, I even think about it now when I think about moving to my new goals. I always think about what I did to really rewire my brain about what I was capable of, to double my income from 1 month to the next in such a big way like that. So I did it. October of 2019 was my first 30K month. And then I did 27 in November, and then I did 50 in December of 2019. And it put me over my impossible goal. It took me a little bit past 200K, which blew my mind. Totally. And what's so fun is that at the end of 2019, at the end of October in 2019, that's when my husband lost his job, and it was right at the end of my 30K month. And I just kind of had this conversation like, hey, do you want to try this? Like, do you want to try being at home? And I remember at Thanksgiving that year, last year, thinking and like having a lot of conversations with him about, can we try this? Like, what do you need to see from me to be willing to try this, to not go and get another job? I remember like having these panicked dreams about him getting jobs and then us going back to life where I was running a business and doing all the kids stuff. And I was like, no, don't make me go back to that. So that's really where I was at the end of last year, 1 year ago. I wasn't even fully booked yet. I had just raised my rates from 5K to 10K for 6 months. I know so many of you have rates right around that area. If you're coaches, that was me 1 year ago. And now, at the end of 2020, in November of 2020, I've made over $700,000 this year, which blows my mind. At the beginning of 2020, I set the goal of 400K for this year. And then pretty quickly into the year, it became obvious that I was going to hit that and it was going to be easy. And I actually felt kind of bored and uninspired by it, which is crazy. I know that is just crazy. But I decided, okay, I'm going to increase my goal. I'm going to make it 500. That felt really exciting to me to make 500K. So that was the decision that I made to increase my goal. And then I just had fun seeing how quickly I could get there. So I was full with one-on-one. I raised my rates a couple more times. I ran a group program that I sold out in the spring. I then created Mama to CEO right around Mother's Day. I was so happy to unveil that and unleash that into the world. And then this fall, I introduced my mastermind and started to decrease my one-on-one practice and stop taking one-on-one clients and totally shift my business over into these 2 scalable offers, Mama to CEO and the mastermind. So much has happened in the past year. And it really is astonishing to me. I think a year ago, I was maybe about 150K, maybe 140, or, right around there. It doesn't really matter the exact number. And now I'm over 700. Like, that to me is just crazy growth from one year to the next. So I want to encourage all of you. The reason I wanted to share all of this is to just show you what is possible from one year to the next. Like, can you even believe 3 years ago? How is that math even right? Yes, that's right. 3 years ago, 2017, I made $40. And now I'm at 700,000. Like, what? Are you kidding me? I think that is insane. And I think probably all of you listening think that is insane too. And what I just want to share is that I didn't ever think that this was going to be for me a few years ago. I barely even thought 3 years ago that I was capable of 50,000, let alone 100,000 and 700,000 and a million, which I'm going to do next year. I did not see that for me. You don't have to. You don't have to see all of this for you for it to be possible for you. I think it's possible for all of you, and it's okay to take it 1 year at a time, one goal at a time. And you all could be sitting where I am right now within 3 years. How fun is that? Okay, now I want to share some stories, some Mama to CEO where I was last year's stories, because these are so freaking inspiring. Jennifer said, 1 year ago, I had just signed my first client for $1,600. I was still unsure of the direction I wanted to take with my business. Now I am 100% clear of who I help, and I have 9 clients. And then just this last week, I've sold over 7K in my business. That is amazing. Okay, Brittany says, 1 year ago, I made about $3,000 for November. I ended the year with a grand total of $10,100. I had just started my free Facebook group and I was scared out of my mind. This year, I've made $17,000 cash just for November. Total for the year, I have made $86,000 in cash received since February. My group is over 4,300 members, and I'm more confident than I have ever been in my life. Susie said, 1 year ago, I was working as an independent contractor for a company I hated. I was desperate to leave them and desperate to have them because they were my only form of income. And I was trying to figure out how to make money and a living with speaking engagements and writing, and I was getting a lot of gigs, but I wasn't getting paid. Now, I'm no longer associated with that company. I have a coaching business, and I'm in the middle of a huge growth spurt. This is my biggest month ever. I'm working with 8 amazing women. I'm speaking. I'm writing my first book proposal. And I have found my calling. I've been having this thought this month. I truly want everything that I have in my life right now. I am so grateful. So good. Marissa said, 1 year ago, I didn't even have a business. I'm not even sure I had a name for my business yet. And I was still finishing up coach certification. In 1 year, I launched a business, served 15 clients, and have made $12,000 year to date. I increased my prices without drama. In September, my monthly revenue has increased from $500 to $3,450. And after getting coached yesterday, I have 2 potential clients and 1 client who wants to renew in the pipeline. I made this happen. Wow, I'm amazed at what I have made happen and accomplished in 1 year. I love how proud she is of herself when she says, I made this happen. I want that for all of you. Megan says, last year I made $125 for the year. This year I've made almost $14,000. Jenna said, last year at this time, I had been getting ready to start my business for several months without actually telling anyone about it. Now I've worked with multiple clients and I'm showing up consistently on social media, putting myself out there. Stephanie says, 1 year ago, I was home full-time with my girls, pretty deep in postpartum depression. My youngest was just diagnosed with a really rare medical condition. I had a longing for an online business, but it seemed impossible as a speech therapist. I'm crying as I type this. I took what I love, early language development, and I turned it into a coaching business. Since July, I've grown my Facebook group to 1,100 people. I've created almost 8K, and I have 6 amazing clients. I've learned how to market and sell. I'm in a mastermind. I'm happy and having so much fun. What a wonderful question. I love Stephanie's story because it really exemplifies why I created Mama to CEO and what my vision is for it is to help so many more moms like Stephanie take what they're good at, what they studied, what they've pursued as their career, and turn it into an online business. There are so many different ways to do that. The possibilities are endless, and if you don't know how, it is one of the things I help people with in Mama to CEO. I helped Stephanie figure that out as she joined. And I think she booked her first call and got her first client in the first week after she joined. She made her money back so freaking fast. And I'm just so inspired by her growth and journey. And what is so fun for me is that it's still just the beginning. All right, last one, because I could be reading these all day. Roxanne says, just blown away. Last year, I would have never, ever thought that I could be living in a beautiful home in a new state as the CEO of a business that I love, helping women heal the pain they carry with them and grow more than they ever thought possible. I'm literally dumbfounded with what my life has become in just a year. Wow. I am so inspired by all these women, and it's so fun thinking about all their growth, reading these stories. I would love to have you become one of these stories that I share. So, of course, join me for Design 2021. But if you want to just skip ahead, join Mama to CEO this week. I don't know if I've mentioned on the podcast recently, but just so you know, we have added a payment plan option. So you can join today for either $2,000 upfront in one full payment, or you can do 9 monthly payments of $250, and you can start that today as well and start getting coached by me to have this kind of growth in your business and in your life. Your year story could start today. So you can go to mamatoceo.com and start that now. Start getting coached right away. Start making decisions and implementing them for your business right away and start your incredible success story right now. All right, mamas, I'll talk to you again next week. If you like this podcast, I want to invite you to coach with me over in my program, Mama to CEO. There's you, and there's the consistent income you want to make in your business, and I help you remove everything standing in between. It's lifetime access for mastering your marketing, sales, time, and everything else you need to have the business and life you really want. Whether it's making your first 1,000 or 100,000, I can help you do it. To join, go to mamatoceo.com. mamatoceo.com.